Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike here from AXC Garage. Welcome back to the channel. You guys haven't already done so, make sure you click the subscribe button. And today we have John, Acura NSX in the shop for some much needed repair. And John's gonna tell you guys a little bit more about the story of this car. So John, tell me a little bit more about this NSX. But before I do that, man, the car's pretty damn dirty.
Yeah, you know, I just had the car ceramic coated and paint corrected by my buddy, Mike Jones, Convenient Detail. And he stressed to me to make sure I use my foam cannon on here and not to wipe the car down. And since my car broke down, I have not cleaned it, and I've been waiting to get it home to use the foam cannon on and clean it. So she's a little dirty. I'm embarrassed, I'm sorry.
Talking about broken down, what's going on with the car, man?
So she is a 94 NSX, and I've done all the maintenance on it, except for change the radiator hoses, and there's about 9 of them on the car. And of course, the one thing I didn't change, it has failed on the car. I was coming back from a little car meet in West Palm Beach, and I sprung a leak in one of the hoses. And then I waited about 3 weeks to a month to actually get the parts. A lot of them were on back order. Now I just went ahead and I bought almost every single hose for the system, including a new radiator, and that's one of the things we're going to tackle today.
You didn't overheat the car, right? I mean, you're talking about a coolant leak.
It got a little hot, but it didn't overheat. I shut it down, and the motor's safe. Everything's good. I was lucky on that one. It didn't leave me stranded.
Well, good. 94 NSX, and I know you have a pretty long history with this car with your father. Tell us a little bit more about it.
All right, so this car has been in our family since 2002. Before that, my stepmother at the time, this was her uncle's car. He lived in Boca, he worked in Miramar. This is the car that he daily drove to and from work every day from 94 to 2002. So we got the car from the uncle in 02 with 115,000 miles on it. It was a bone stock car, mismatched tires, paint was a little bit faded, but all around in decent condition. So me and my dad got it. He had no idea what it was. He called me up one day and said, "Hey, someone wants to sell me an Acura X." I go, what's an X? At the time I had my 93 Civic hatchback in the garage.
How old were you at that time?
It was senior year in high school, so about 17, 18.
Yeah.
And I said, if it's an NSX, you need to just get it. And it being family, and at the time you could still go buy a new NSX at the dealership, it being 02, we got the car for $20,000 from our family.
Wow.
AC not working, radio not working, in need of its timing belt service, all the typical things of a high mileage NSX. So we got it for a good price, but we immediately brought it to the local Acura dealership and put about $10,000 into the car.
So at that time, you weren't as good as today in terms of turning wrenches and getting all the stuff done on this car.
So, you know, I was confident enough to take my hatchback and swap the motor, put 5-lug on it, you know, do all that kind of stuff. But this car intimidated me. I was not confident enough to work on it without thinking that I might hurt it. So my father asked me, "Hey, you want to do the work?" I said, "No, let's bring it to the Acura dealership and let them deal with it," you know, because I didn't know what I was doing.
But you know, to your credit, man, this engine is completely different from our normal 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder at that time.
Yeah, so this is the C-Series motor, which is specific to the NSX. It's basically like, I like to call it 2 3-cylinder B16 heads slapped on a V6 engine. It has a higher degree angle on it, titanium connecting rods, DOHC VTEC, and you know, I mean, I didn't want to hurt it. It's a high compression motor, interference. If I messed up the timing, I couldn't afford to fix it, you know. So that was also one of the reasons why all I ever wanted to do was work at the dealership so that I could learn how to work on these. And through all this process, this is the car that pushed me into my career of working at Acura and becoming someone who specializes in these cars. You know, I may not know everything about it, but we know enough we work on a large majority of them here at the dealership.
Now, looking around the car here, it does have some very, very good looking aftermarket goodies, HRE wheels, Got a brake kit on up in the front there, Kevlar stuff all over the place. Tell me more, John.
So, like I said, when we got the car, it was stock. We decided that we were going to modify the car because we got it for such a good price that we could put some money into it and kind of do some stuff to it. But the whole idea me and my father had was the car looks so beautiful in its stock form that whatever modifications we did had to enhance the look of the car from its original form. Not going, you know, wide body or anything extreme. Everything's meant to look like it was stock, just tweaked a little bit. So we went first with the Wings West lip kit on the car, the whole thing. The front end is no longer on it. I have a Pride carbon fiber lip on there now. We repainted the whole car Formula Red because the paint was a little faded, needed a little love to it. So the whole car's been resprayed, the top's been resprayed, everything's been redone. As far as the engine goes, this part I really like because at the time in 02, 03, you could still go to your local Acura dealership and purchase ComTech parts from the dealership and have them install it, which is pretty uncommon. It's kind of, I guess, like how SVT does for Mustangs and stuff along that line. So we, along with all the repairs, timing belt, AC, and everything else, we went ahead and purchased a ComTech carbon fiber intake box, ComTech headers, ComTech high flow cats, ComTech exhaust, and a ComTech reflashed ECU. So all that stuff was installed at the dealership, which I thought was pretty neat. Not normally would you be able to go to the dealership and do that. You definitely can't do it nowadays, but it was nice. And they even would offer you a ComTech supercharger at the time. But you know, we didn't do that. Probably should have, but we didn't do that.
Now the wheels and tires department here.
So as far as the wheels go, we'll bring you up front to show you why we have these wheels. So we decided that we wanted to upgrade the brakes. The brakes that come on the car are, in my opinion, a little subpar. So I went to the local performance shop that was able to import parts from Japan, and I found the most expensive brake kit that was available because, of course, it's not my money, it was my dad's money at the time. And we found Endless brakes, and they're 6-piston calipers. And if you notice, Endless, this is usually the color of all their calipers. It's like a purple color. My father was very specific that he wanted red calipers. So it took an extra 6 months, but they anodized these at the Endless factory in red. So it's really the only NSX with this brake kit in this color. So it's kind of neat, but that problem, these brakes left us with a problem that the wheels didn't clear it. So we went to, what at the time was Good Roads, and we had these HREs custom made for the car. They're measured, they're specific to this car. There's no offset with anything on there. They're custom made for the car. And we picked out this design with the hidden hardware. They've held up all right. They need a little love, maybe a rebuild, but that's the nice thing about these wheels is they're literally made just for this car to clear these brakes. Other wheels may clear, but that's pretty nice about these.
All right, so we got a car up in the air. John, tell me about the suspension here.
So it's pretty simple setup. All I have done to it is the TN monotube coilovers. I had TN RAs on here a long time ago, but the seals just failed on them. They leaked out on me. So I made the jump to these. TN used to have about 6 or 7 different lines. Now they only limit it down to 2. This is a little bit on the higher end. So that's about it for the coilovers. I don't have anything else really done under there.
Do like the ComTech header that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so you can even see here, it says ComTech USA. ComTech went through a few different closings and openings, and you can kind of gauge the age of things based off of their emblems. And that's the ComTech headers. I removed the high flow cats, and I put test pipes in just to give it a little bit more tone, because this ComTech sports exhaust is very quiet. You can tell from the large muffler on it. That's currently covered in whatever this is.
What's this green stuff? That's what you're talking about? That's the coolant, right?
Yeah, that's coolant that's leaking from the front here, blowing back, and got all over this. I'm gonna have to put some work in to try and polish this thing back to its former glory, which I would polish this thing all the time. So Like I said, this is my first real breakdown on the car. Didn't leave me stranded, but it did leave me down for a little bit.
So let's talk about some of the parts that we'll be replacing today.
All right, so here we have most of the coolant lines in the system. We have a couple hoses that run underneath the car. We have a couple hoses that go to the radiator. Like I said, mostly this is the majority of all the hoses for the car. There are some heater core hoses I did not replace. I did order them, they are in back order. I also went ahead and decided I was gonna put a new radiator in the car. The radiator on this car is the original from '94. The coloring on the plastic has turned a green, and they usually come a darker black. I just don't want to get stuck in a situation where my radiator pops, my car overheats, and I'm stuck. I'm planning on bringing this car on a long road trip. On top of that, last time out, I noticed that my AC compressor belt is only half as wide as what it used to be. The other neat thing about this radiator is that, as you can see here, it being on back order, we critical back ordered it, and we were able to get this air freighted in from Japan. Yeah, we overnight parts from Japan. No big deal.
All right, so this is the fun part, right, John?
Yeah, so here's the fun part. If anyone here has ever worked on NSX, the most pain in the butt part about this car is the cooling system. So you have a radiator in the front, engine in the back, and you have a bunch of hoses and tubing that connect it all. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start draining the coolant. We have one drain right here, and that's gonna drain our radiator. Then we have another drain that's located underneath this cover, and that's in 2 of the aluminum pipes. So we're gonna pull this cover down, drain it there. Once we have that drained, then we can start removing all the pieces and replacing them one by one. We'll probably start in the front and work our way back to the engine where it gets the tightest. While that's draining over there, I'll give you a look at what we have going on under the cover here. So we have this hose here, we have another one above it, and there's a third one up here. It's a heater core. That one's on back order, so I'm not gonna worry about that right now. So here is also the drains. This helps drain the pipe up from the engine down to here. We're gonna remove these 2 in just a minute to drain this out before we get at these very, very fun hoses to change out. Not so fun. Coolant showers. All right, so here we have the old one and the new one. You can see the discoloration on here. Maybe it came this color, but in my experience, when your radiator starts to turn this color, it means it's getting weaker. It's gone through a lot of heat cycles, and I'm planning to drive this car long distances, and I just don't want to get stuck in the middle of nowhere with a busted radiator. It's $400. Might as well just take the easy route and put a new one in. It's peace of mind. So we started at the front, took care of the middle, everything's in, new, went perfect. Now we're gonna get to the fun part. Working on the engine on this car is definitely not a very fun thing, but it's the next and last step. Thanks for your help, Mike. So this is our maintenance mat. This is not the factory one. Our factory one's kind of broken down over the years from a lot of use. This is an aftermarket one. The bottom side of it's very nice and soft. So we use this so that we can work, set our tools down, lean over the car and not damage it. Because we're gonna be working right here. We're gonna remove the coolant reservoir to gain access to our hoses down here. And that's actually where the failure occurred is on one of these lower hoses. So we're going to go ahead and get everything out now. So as you can see, that's where my failure was, right on that one radiator hose. Looks like it was just a small, I don't know what happened, pinch hole failure, but that's what caused my whole problem. And it's buried pretty deep, and that's what's led to me replacing almost all the hoses on the system, so I don't have a failure again. So, if you're wondering, this has been my best buddy on this. These are made by Cornwell, but you can get them pretty much anywhere. They're called ratcheting adjustable hose clamp pliers. So you can fit this onto your hose clamp. You can pull it down and you have it ratchet right here, so it'll actually hold it in place for you and allow you to move things around. Very handy tool, especially on a car like this. So this car has 4 bleed points. This is one of them right here. There's one located on the thermostat housing and 2 up underneath the hood. So I'm going to crack this so that the coolant doesn't get airlocked filling up underneath the car. I can keep filling this up and it's going to keep going down, letting the air purge out of here. So you see that water coming out? That means that we've filled up the pipe underneath the car. So now we're going to go up front and see what we got going on. So up in the front we have a bleeder here. The whole system has to fill up all the hoses under the car before it'll come out over here. We also have a bleeder here. This is on the heater core. We're going to go ahead and crack that as well. So this is the 4th and last bleeding point, and it's located on the thermostat housing. I got it cracked open and it's purging out the air from the engine block right now. And then we'll go ahead and we'll check everything else one more time. Then we'll start the engine up and see what we got. You could see that the alternator belt was okay, but the AC belt is shredded. So first we're gonna have to do is remove this cover, loosen the alternator so that we can remove the alternator belt, because the alternator belt sits in front of the AC belt. So that's what we're gonna do now. So as you can see, as I like to say, this is not so very good looking.
A third of the bell is gone.
Yeah, you know, it was a weight reduction, I'll take it. But you know, on the AC, we can't have the AC fail. So let's go ahead and throw a new one on there. All right, so new belts on, all the hoses are replaced. We got coolant in the system. Now we're gonna start everything up, pressurize the system, and rebleed everything. Nice, so we got everything bled out. We just went through a heat cycle. We have the thermostat opened up. Our fan is cycling. It just shut off right now. And that pretty much means we're good to go. We'll let it cycle a couple more times. Then we'll take it out on the road and drive the crap out of it. That's what's meant to be done.
Alright guys, in just a few hours, we got all the radiator hoses replaced along with a factory brand new radiator. Now John's back in a row with his NSX. You guys like what you see, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification. My name is Mike, behalf of AXC Garage. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.